Gente On Air, where we talk about Latino contributions, Latino concerns, and of course, Latino culture. And we're here with a very special guest today. And I'm so excited because he is a legend. And many of you will know his music. It has been the soundtrack of our lives for over 5 decades. And we have today the legendary, the icon. There's so many adjectives that could describe him, Carlos Santana. So we're going to start the show in a few minutes here. We got a minute break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to talk with Carlos Santana. No te vayas.
Welcome to Gente On Air on 100.5 and 790 News Radio WSGW and online WSGW.com. Now, here is your host, Larry Rodarte.
Welcome, bienvenidos. Welcome to another edition of Mi Gente On Air, where we talk a lot about the arts and culture and, of course, music, the great unifier. And it seems more than ever we need to unify throughout the world. And on today's show, I have a very special guest who is a legend. He is a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame guitarist and is celebrating a 50-year career. Born in Jalisco, Mexico, and raised in Tijuana, Carlos Humberto Santana Barangang and his band Santana rose to fame in the late 1960s, playing at Woodstock. The pioneer of fusion of rock and roll and Latin American jazz with great hits like Eva Ways, Oye Como Va, and Black Magic Woman. He also experienced a resurgence in the late 1990s with Smooth and Maria Maria. How can we not remember those great hits? His music is filled with love, with a level of passion and soul equal to the legendary sonic charge of his guitar. The sound of Carlos Santana is one of the world's best-known musical signatures. And in 2022, he's kicking off the Blessing and Miracles Tour on March 25th with a stop at the Soaring Eagle Casino on April 16th. It is a great honor to welcome to Mi Gente On Air the great, the one and only Carlos Santana. Welcome to Mi Gente On Air.
Hola, ¿qué pasa?
How are you? How are you getting by in this unprecedented times?
I'm getting by. We get through. We don't get by, because we left the victim mentality a long time ago back there, so we have a disposition that is basically around victory, triumph, and glory. And so we celebrate each day, and people say, well, what do you celebrate? I said, we celebrate each other's light.
Yes. And, I've listened to other interviews with you, and I think that our radio recently did an interview, and they talked about, your spirituality. And has that always been with you, or is that something that has grown with you through the years?
Pretty much. What people call spirituality is actually my mother's insistence of uh, zero tolerance for unbecoming behavior. That's
Wow.
spiritual right there.
Wow. Okay. Well, it's such an honor for me to have you here on Mi Gente on Air. We are a show here celebrating Latinos in our community, and it's a arm of Mi Gente, the magazine. And I had you on the magazine, a cover many years ago. We've been doing this for 27 years.
Wow.
You're not in Michigan, and I've always said, one day that will be one of the highlights of my career, because Carlos Santana, you are a legend, of course, and you always still remember your roots. And that's what I want to talk about right now is your roots. Born in Jalisco, and tell me a little bit about your upbringing and your background there in when you moved from Jalisco to California, and how you became Carlos Santana.
All of it has to do with my mother, Josefina. She's the one that said it's time to move from Atlanta, Jalisco to Tijuana. And then later on, she did the same thing. We moved from Tijuana to San Francisco, and then we landed in San Francisco, ground zero for consciousness revolution explosion. But I owe everything to my mother, for God and my mother and my dad, because all three of them not conspire, orchestrated a better life for my sisters and brothers, 4 sisters, 2 brothers. And so first and foremost, I offer gratitude, love, and respect to my mother, Josefina.
And your father, he was very influential as a musician in your life. He was a mariachi player, and he taught you the violin and guitar. But I want to, I remember the story you said in regard to the birds, and when you first learned music from your father. It was so beautiful. Could you tell us that to my listeners?
It was around 5 o'clock in the evening when everything's kind of golden, the sun is going down. And my father goes, "Mijo." I said, "Yes." Then he goes, "Follow me." I said, "Okay." So I follow him, and he went in the yard outside, and he took out his violin and he put it in, and he went. And then this bird comes out of nowhere and he lands on this branch up in the tree, and he does the same thing. My father goes, "¿Ves? Do you see? Otra vez." The bird. And I was like, "Damn." And my father goes, "See, if you can talk to birds, you can talk to people with music."
Yes, yes.
And so he reaffirmed to me that by sound, resonance, vibration, there was a language beyond Espanol or Inglés or Swahili or any other language that is a lot more clear, with clarity. It goes straight to the heart. It's melody.
Well, you've really touched those, like I mentioned, the soundtrack of our lives through all these years. And I want to, go back to 1969, of course, because that was a really important year, when you were invited, of course, to Woodstock. And can you explain that for me? I'm going to play in the background Evil Ways, because that was a hit that came across at that time. And tell my listeners, if you can, what it was like, when it went down there in Woodstock.
It was very exciting that everyone we opened for, Steppenwolf, Creedence Clearwater, Slidestone, Jimmy, everybody we opened for, they were always asked the same question, whether it was Procol Harum or whoever. They would go, what do you all call that music you're playing?" And what else? I says, oh, you mean with congas and timbales and electric guitar? It's called African music. We're playing música africana. In the beginning, it was called música tropical because they didn't have salsa yet. They haven't invented the word salsa. So it was música tropical, which came from Africa anyway.
Right, right. In how much of that influence of your father, being with a mariachi, did that play in at that time in 1969 in your playing as a musician?
I learned from my father two music that is embedded in mariachi music. Mariage, which means is a French word for wedding musician. Mariage. That's what mariachi is.
Hmm.
And the music the mariachis play is basically two forms of music: polka from the Germans and waltzes from the French. Mexican music is pre-Columbian music. They don't play Mexican music in Mexico to this day. Very little. It's pre-Columbian music before the conquistadores or Christopher Columbus. They were already playing music in Mexico, but it's not mariachi music. Mariachi music is a combination of European music, polkas and waltzes. I learned all that, but I never liked it.
Right, I remember
Because
reading that.
well, it's a youngster. You don't like music that is from another generation that has nothing to do with you. I wanted rock and roll. I wanted the blues. I wanted to learn about B.B. King, Freddie King, Albert King, Johnny Hooker, Lightning Hopkins, Jimmy Reed, that kind of music. And like I was listening to the same thing that Eric Clapton, Jimmy Page, Jeff Beck, everybody listened to. Black music from Chicago or Memphis or Texas. T-Bone Walker, or so it was no surprise to me when I met Eric or Jeff, and they were listening to the same thing. Otis Rush and Buddy Guy and Magic Sam, Muddy Waters. We listened to the same thing. This is who became who we are.
Wow, wow. And if you were to go to transcend in time and be able to say something to that young Carlos Santana at Woodstock in 1969, what would you tell him from what you know today?
Burn,
Burn?
burn. Light yourself on fire like the Buddhist monks that protest Vietnam. Pour gasoline on yourself, burn. The bigger the flame, the further people can come to watch you burn. So that's what I learned from Jimi Hendrix. They burn, or Stevie Ray. Burn bright.
Wow, wow. And did you know at that time, and I don't know if anybody knew at that time how historically Woodstock would go down in history. Did you feel that a sense of that when you were there?
No, not at all. We were just learning from Bill Graham how to get it across, how to, because you have to remember, we opened for everybody. Janis Joplin, Chicago, Steppenwolf. We opened for everybody. And we had to adapt because they didn't want to hear us at first. They were like, what the hell is that? And we're opening up for like Johnny Winter and like people like, boo, who the hell is that? And then about 2 songs into the set, they're like, holy shit, this is really good. What do y'all call that music? So sometimes you just have to give something a little bit of time, we were playing world music before they knew what to call it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny to believe that Bob Marley and Santana started in 63, 64. They became like really spread open to the world in 73, and we did it in 69, 70, and so I have no doubt that if Bob Marley hadn't left, we will be playing together along with Stevie Ray Vaughan and everybody else, because we want the same thing. We want to play music to unify the world, and bring unity and harmony.
Yes, yes. You know, I heard you on iHeartRadio, like I mentioned in the interview, and I really liked what you said about grace and gratitude. And I think it's something that my listeners, I'd love for you to tell us about that because it was really profound. You know, claim your dignity, and coming from Carlos Santana, man, that is tremendous. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, some people, I live in Las Vegas, but I don't believe in luck or fortune or chance or any of that. I believe in grace. Grace is my GPS. Grace is my modum operandum. And with grace, I can, like they say, used to say, you can take it to the bank, God's bank, which is you never run out of funds. You know,
Yeah.
and grace is not chance. There's a specific purpose for you to have a glorious life. Uh, get closer to grace by being grateful and by being with impeccable integrity, being kind, being generous, but more than anything, be true to your own light. Anyone who tells you that only Jesus or Mother Teresa or the Pope or somebody only they have light in their divine and word chopped liver, run away from people like that. Because they're into perpetuating self-deception philosophy, and they promote as a seal of honor, a badge of honor, being a victim. So
Right.
they believe in sacrifice and time. But God, the God that I believe, does not recognize men's sacrifice or men's time. If you and I get to go into like Rubio and Bronson, we get to go into a space shuttle up there. Once you get up there, you don't need to watch anymore. Because when people say, "Well, what time is it?" You either say where
Yeah.
or now. What time is it where? Because way up, you're up there outside of the globe. You don't even watch over there because time is based in the earth around the rotation of the sun, day and night. But
Yeah.
once you go up there, it's just now. And that's a good lesson to learn for you to grasp the concept of infinity.
Yes.
Infinity does not recognize time, man's time. Although humans say, well, time is money. And then you go, well, that's an illusion too. It's just energy. Merrily, merrily, merrily,
Hmm.
life is but a dream, you know, and there is money, water, and air for everyone. That's the good news that Santana brings. There's there's enough for everyone. Now, the last thing I want to say about that is this. I learned that it's an insult to God to be poor. You just don't know how to ask. You don't know how to submit your request for God to give you beyond your imagination, being lucrative, prosperous, successful, and profitable. Those things are for everyone.
Yeah. Yes.
It's just energy.
Yeah. I love your spirituality, and I want to know, what does Carlos Santana do the first thing in the morning when he wakes up? You've had this amazing career. You're amazing. Uh, your music and all. What does someone like Carlos Santana say in the morning? What do you think?
Gratitude first and foremost. Primero, gratitude. Then I take a couple of gummies. No, I'm only kidding. Uh, it, uh, 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 I say gratitude, thankful, deep appreciation. I'm thankful for Cindy being by my side. I'm thankful for everyone, Michael V, my sister, Maria, everyone who works with me, not for me, who works around me, and they gave me counsel. I'm grateful that I can email Eric Clapton, and he emails me back immediately, and we have a camaraderie with musicians who I consider to be the creme of la creme. Wayne Shorter, Herbie Hancock. My phone rings. It's always been incredible people, whether it's Miles Davis or Stevie Ray Vaughan or Jaco Pastores. Mana, so I am really, really grateful this. For some reason, I am in the center of this arena called life.
And it's been a glorious life, yes. And I want to know, like, how much does your Mexican heritage play in your life today? You know, you admire all of the greats that you have met, the that are of Latino descent, and I know I've seen you work with Dolores Huerta, the great Dolores Huerta. How much does that play in in your life, your heritage? Because obviously, we see influences of it on your album covers and then your concerts and all, but I just wonder, how much does it play today? As you're a Mexican American, right? Or do you consider yourself just Mexican still?
Um, Last time we were talking about this subject with Dolores Huerta, and it was Dolores Huerta and Cheech Maring, and we were talking about this and that, and I said, when it got to my turn, I said, well, Carlos, how do you see yourself? And I says, well, I see myself as a multidimensional Mexican, and I have my own blower to blow the leaves everywhere. So I get a passport. Nobody stops Mexicans with a blower. People in the White House get out of the way. Especially the bodyguards. Oh, get out of the way! It's a Mexican with a blower. Uh,
Yeah.
so I consider myself a Mexican that has this incredible blower, and we blow fear away. We blow division away. Uh, I am a multidimensional spirit. When I go to the zoo, as I said before, I am all the animals, not just a monkey or a tiger. I am all the zoo. When people ask me, what is your sign with astrology? I go, all of them and none of them. So I feel really grateful that I was born in Alclan, Jalisco. Mexico is in me, it's a part of me, but it's not all that I am. I can go to Russia, Japan, anywhere in the world, and I'm not a tourist. And that's the difference between Santana and a lot of bands from Mexico.
Yeah.
Santana is one of the few artists who can go anywhere in the world and is part of the familia. Greece, Japan, New Zealand, Australia. Some people who are from Mexico or Latinos can only go to South America or Miami and then Puerto Rico and then back.
Right.
We can go to Jerusalem and they're going to party. Both frequencies are going to party. They put their differences aside for a while and they dance together. Now, that's very miraculous to go to St. Quentin or Jerusalem and everybody celebrates without division or hostility. There's very few bands who can do that.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. And if I were to ask you, like, what is your most memorable? Because you like you said, you can go to Jerusalem, you can go to Russia. What is, if I asking you right now, what stands out in your mind as your most memorable performance in this 50-year career?
For me, the tour that we did in Africa in 71, the tour that we did in South America in 73, from Mexico all the way to Buenos Aires and beyond, I love closing my eyes and I open my eyes and I'm playing and I'm in Ireland and people are freaking out, so there's no division for Santana. Anywhere is my home at this point. This global planet is my home. And every city is just a different room, but it's the same house.
And have you actually gone back to Jalisco and where you were born and played there or have visited there?
Yes, absolutely. We play with Mana in Alclan, Jalisco, and we ignited, erected a clinic in there. And so I dream of returning to Tijuana and having 3 squares, self-worth buildings in Mexico, in Tijuana, Nogales, and El Paso, I want to be able to have places to feed people. You know, I'm a dreamer. You know, the Woodstock thing was a dream and it manifested. You know, Supernatural was a dream and it manifested thanks to Clive Davis and many, many artists and, you know, my ex-wife, Deborah. So keep dreaming. You know, what I say to people who are, you know, if you can identify with Carlos Santana, you know that you have the same power. Dream big. Don't dream little. Don't te consueles con poco. Dream big, big. Go, órale, go big, you know, and go deep and long.
Yeah.
No little yards, you know.
Nicely said. We're going to go into commercial real quick here, and we're going to come back with the great Carlos Santana. We're going to talk music. We're going to talk more about his heritage. We're going to talk about just about everything in a great conversation with a legend. And, you know, I don't know if you get tired of hearing that, you know, the legendary or the icon, you know, reference to you, but, you know, everybody, when you hear the name Carlos Santana, it really means something, especially for our Mexican heritage and those of us that are immigrants, descendant of immigrants, because he's done some great things. And so we want to welcome you to Mi Gente On Air, and we'll be back in just a moment with Carlos Santana.
Cumbia, yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. We're here live streaming with the great Carlos Santana. And where are you, Carlos? Where are you right now?
Right now in San Rafael. North Marin.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, he's on Pacific time. We're on Eastern time. So we had to kind of make sure that we hook that up at the right time. We always sometimes forget. But what is it that you're feeling today? This is for my live stream audience, not the radio program. But what is it you're feeling today here in, we're just about at the end of February, going into March of 2022?
I feel really excited, you know, to look at this future 2022 and 2023 and know that we will bring the highest. We will manifest some high consciousness music, a lot of energy, you know, and I'm really, really grateful that I have a band that we can ignite and take off like a spaceship and transport people into a place of wonderment. Yeah.
And you're going to be starting the tour March 25th, right? And then you're ending the Blessing and Miracles tour at the Soaring Eagle Casino on April 16th, or is it going to continue on after April?
No, we end right there April 16th, and we will just prepare ourselves to probably do a few gigs at the House of the Blues, and then get ready for the Earth, Wind, and Fire tours.
Wow! So you're gonna be is it with the musical group Earth, Wind, and Fire, or is it that the name?
Right. That's right. Two bands are going to tour together. It's not the first time. It's not the first rodeo. We already did it in 1975 all through Europe.
Wow! What a show that must have been, eh? I know they're coming also to the Soaring Eagle Casino, I think May 7th. So we've got some really first-class entertainment coming to the area in April and March. So we're going to go back into the show. How much time do we got before we go back in, Chandler?
About 10 minutes, something like that. You know,
we can take a minute. We can, if you want, take a break.
No, we can go. Let's keep going.
Let's keep going. Yeah. All right.
Well, you want to just go right back into it, or you want to take a minute break?
No, everybody? Let's just go right back into it.
All right, here we go.
You're listening to Mi Gente On Air on WSGW.
Welcome back, mi gente. Thank you for being with me this evening as we talk with the legendary Carlos Santana. And it is a great honor for me to have him here today with us. And we're just asking him in a conversation about his life, about the music, about his memories of some great times, like in Woodstock and, his Supernatural album, the comeback, and it's just a great time for me as a journalist to be here with Carlos. So I want to ask him because we all have been affected these last 2 years. This pandemic has really affected our lives in every way. But I want you to tell me, Carlos. You talked about fear that drives a lot, and I'm talking about when I heard you in an interview. Can you expound a little bit on this?
Fear is totally unnecessary.
Mhm.
Fear is. There's a video on funny home videos of a little girl who is running in the beach, and all of a sudden she turns around and she sees her shadow following her, and she screams. She gets freaked out and starts running really fast. And the faster she runs, of course, the shadow is right behind her. Well, it's like that with humans. Humans are afraid of their own shadow. You know, and so for me, I'm into not following religions or politicians, because they promote fear. They promote fear. If you want to get into heaven, you this and that, and so. But God for me is nothing to do with fear. It's with joy. God is not Godzilla. There's a lot of Godzilla in the Bible, you know, and I personally believe in the things in the Bible that has to do only with the language of light, the language of compassion, the language of mercy, the language of spirituality, not eye for an eye, vengeance is mine, says the Lord, and the Lord is very jealous. And if he doesn't like something you did, he's going to condemn you to hell forever. Like, okay, that's not God. That's Godzilla,
Yes. Yes.
you know? And so we're living in 2022 where we really need to question the things in the Bible and the things in the Constitution. Because the Constitution, which is supposed to be a very sacred document, but it was written by people who owned slaves.
Yes, absolutely.
So how can you create a Magna Carta, a sacred document, when you own slaves? So I'm into, with music, besides music, I'm into inviting people to, just like you update your phone and your laptop, we need to update a lot of the sacred religious books and the Constitution. Why? Because we have graduated from the age of victimness and not being worthy. We have graduated into being, here it is, spiritual adults. See, a spiritual adult sees things differently, like American Indians. You take the high road, you look at the aerial view, and you see the big picture. And what's the big picture? For the highest good of all people. That's the big picture. It's not just for one particular color or race or ideology. That would be stupidity. And that card we played it so many ways, and it never works, But to play a whole new deck of cards, and in those cards, everybody wins. There's enough in God's creation, surplus. It gives God good pleasure to give you the keys to the kingdom. That means abundance, avalanche of abundance, and being lucrative, profitable, and successful. So if you're poor, it's because it is your choice, not because God wants you to be poor. You just don't know how to submit your request, man.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I know a term that you've described certain people in your life as well as in the world, and that's weapons of mass compassion.
Yeah.
Tell me
There-
about that.
there's many people in my city, which is Las Vegas. And once you go outside the strip, there's a lot of organizations, people who Tree Squares, uh, Andre Agassi School, and there's other places, Boys and Girls Club. You know, there's places where you sign in if you addicted to whatever you're addicted to, and they take care of you for a year. They feed you, they clean clothes, this and that, and you sign a contract. You don't get out till you become a pillar in the community. So there's people who wake up every morning, roll up their sleeves, and are of service to humans like Mother Teresa. So I call them weapons of mass compassion people.
Wow, that's a great term, and I we need more of those people in our lives, definitely. And I want to ask, for children, that are how do you get kids that may be looking to play music and all to be those unifiers with music and those people of mass compassion, that's we need so much more of it. How do we get the next generation to be more involved?
Practice learning how to get inside the note. Put aside the Guitar Hero electronic stuff. Get yourself a real guitar, and learn how to get in it the same way Stevie Ray or myself or Robbie Krieger from the Doors or Jimi Hendrix. Learn how to get inside your instrument. Practice. I don't call it practice. I call it taking my fingers for a walk on the neck of my guitar, playing to Marvin Gaye or Michael Jackson. So the 3Ds will help you. Discipline, devotion, dedication.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about Supernatural, because that was such a important album in the 90s, and the song Maria Maria. I mean, I want to hear a little bit of that song, just because it really takes me back to that time with the resurgence of Carlos Santana in the music industry. And you've always been there, but that Supernatural album, Smooth and Maria Maria, tell me a little bit about that, because that was so instrumental in the soundtrack of our lives in the 90s.
Supernatural is a gift from God and Metatron. Metatron was really involved with the creation of Supernatural. Metatron, he said, we're going to put you on the radio like you've never been on the radio ever. But in return, we want you to say, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Sebayot. Every time you receive any kind of award or any kind of trophy or any kind of adulation, any kind of affirmation, say, thank you, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Sebayot, which means holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. I said, okay. And that was it.
You were able to do that. And what was it like with Rob Thomas? Because he really came into his own, with those songs and during that time period.
There's so many, my brother Rob Thomas and Wyclef, and there's so many artists, producers, and Matt Serletic. It took a parade, like the Parade of Roses, the Pasadena, of lawyers, accountants, musicians, engineers. The thing about Santana is like this: Santana never comes alone. When Santana shows up, he brings everything with him. So when I hit that note, everything's there.
Yeah.
Apaches, Comanches, Puerto Ricans, Irish, Mexican, it's all there. And that's why Santana is different than a lot of bands.
Yeah.
We're not one dimensional. We're multidimensional.
Yes. Yeah, but within that multi-dimensional, very unique, and in your persona, the way you present yourself is all very unique. And earlier on the beginning of this show here, you made a symbol, which was like this in prayer. And I remember recently, or was it at the Kennedy Honors when you had this illustrious musicians that came out and played your music, and I could see you up in the box doing this. I mean, it brought tears to my eyes because I could see how grateful you were, as a musician who's being honored. And does does that mean anything to you when you obviously it's something that is giving thanks or whatever, but how does it feel for you when you're receiving like the Kennedy honor and recently the Hispanic Heritage Awards?
Thank you for asking that. It was my friend Bill Graham who pointed it out to me. He says, "You are the voice of the voiceless.
Yeah.
You bring light to the people who clean toilets and clean the sheets and the beds and the toilets in Las Vegas and all the hotels. The people who pick up the food in Watsonville, and people who pick up the lettuce in Fresno and Bakersfield.
Yeah.
You represent them. Like Selena. We give voice to the invisibles." And I feel really, really grateful, man, because when I was introduced, it was by Mr. Harry Belafonte,
Yeah.
who I cherish him like crazy. Him and Dolores Huerta are the champions of equality, fairness, and justice. So my whole life, and it's only the fourth quarter. We're in the fourth quarter right now, maybe halftime. And we're ready to enter a whole new place, like Stephen Curry and Barry Bonds and Brady. Santana is unstoppable. I mean, aside from Barbra Streisand, a few other bands, we have gotten a top 10 in six decades, a top 10 song in the radio in 6 decades.
Wow.
So it's like I said, I'm very grateful, and we're not a one-trick pony.
Yeah. Wow, 6 decades. That's incredible. And you said there's 3 others that have
Barbra Streisand, and she was the only one. I think it's just Barbra Streisand and I.
Wow.
At this level.
Congratulations. That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm in Saginaw, Michigan, and I don't know if you know too much about Saginaw, but we're here in the Midwest, in right about here in Michigan, and one of our favorite sons is Stevie Wonder. He's born here. Wanted to know what you may have experienced with Stevie. Give us a Stevie story. Anything that you have experienced?
Yeah, I was invited to play with Stevie when Bob Dylan did a special event in Houston, Astrodome, with Stevie Wonder, and it was for Hurricane Carter. So to me, to be in the presence of Bob Dylan and Stevie Wonder, I mean, hey, I'm a fan, and these are multi-dimensional icons. I mean, genius when he was a child. Since he was a child, Stevie Wonder. So anyway, I'm very, very grateful, man. Thank you for this interview, and we love letting people know, si se puede. You must utilize your light. Stop thinking like a victim.
Yes.
Think triumph, victory, and glory. Think like that, and know that you will make a difference in this world as well. Like Mana and Santana, we're here to make a difference. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Santana. I'm going to call you Senor Carlos Santana because out of respect, I'm so grateful for you giving us this time today. And do you have a minute just to talk about Blessings and Miracles? Because that's the music you're going to be playing inclusive in your stint over at the Soaring Eagle Casino.
Yes. Blessings and Miracles is a vast expression, from, like I said, from Kirk Hammett and Marcus Tegeta America for Sale, which is very, very much elements of AC/DC or Led Zeppelin or Metallica. It's hard rock, metal. Uh, and then with Ali Brooke, it's a perfect song for anti-suicide, her song from Diane Warren. And so I feel really grateful that my son Salvador and my daughter Stella, and around the corner, hopefully my other daughter Angelica will participate as well. My wife Cindy plays drums on the whole album, and so I just feel really grateful. It's always when Santana shows up, there's a parade of roses of incredible amounts of people. I never come alone.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Thank you, Mr. Santana. Carlos, it has been an honor, sir, to have you on Mi Gente On Air. And, I wanted to let my listeners know that Carlos Santana will perform at the Soaring Eagle Casino on April 16th, wrapping up his Blessing and Miracle Tour. And as a Mexican-American and as an American, I highly admire you and your work, sir, and your longevity. And thank you. Thank you for being with me today. We're talking with Carlos Santana, y'all. Until next time, I am your host, Larry Rodarte. Hasta luego. Buenos noches. Be safe.
Stay precious and resplendent. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. My interview here on Mi Gente On Air with Carlos Santana, the great legend. And what an honor it was for me in, my career as a journalist to have Carlos Santana, because he really represents, a movement. And he is that legendary figure from Woodstock all the way to present day, at the Soaring Eagle Casino. And I really would love to have the show sold out, and I'm going to be there that night on April 16th when he closes out that tour. And his wife is a drummer. She's one of the great drummers, and he loves drummers. And he's got his son Salvador Santana as well, who's playing. I mean, you've got generational musicians there in the Santana family, from his father being a mariachi player to his son also playing with him now. But we are so blessed in our community to have the Soaring Eagle Casino and have them actually bringing the talents of Earth, Wind, and Fire on May 7th, as well as Carlos Santana on April 13th. And I hope everybody's, April 16th. I said that wrong. I hope everybody's buying their tickets and is excited to hear this legendary figure. I wish we could have opened up for the live stream to have questions, and it would have been awesome. He has such a spirituality to him, and he really sees the world in a whole different light. And I think it's very healthy, his perspective, especially in the times that we're living in. And he talked about the weapons of mass compassion, and those are the people that he sees as those that help others in their time of need. And I think we need to do more of that. I think we need to do more of that in our communities, in our world. And we've got to get away so much from the polarization that we have in our country. And, we know that that's partially because of the political thoughts of so many. But I think, we've come at a time in this pandemic where we've grown up, and it's time to heal. It's time to heal. And what would you say, Chandler, about that?
I would say like a great way to kind of round out like what I feel like he was saying is like time is an illusion, money is an illusion, and you really what if this pandemic's shown us anything is you gotta focus on making the lives of others better and bringing a little bit more light to the world and inspiring others to create things so that they do the same thing. It's like a domino effect.
Yes. And it will attract like. And I think that he is truly an example of what we all will, kind of aspire, want to be in this world. We've lived in such a rough 2 years, and anything that can help our spiritual mind can help us to get through the continuation of this pandemic, because we're still in it. We're still in this pandemic, but things are getting better. And as we march into March, hopefully, we won't have to be as fearful of catching the virus or have to wear our mask everywhere. Although I still wear my mask everywhere out of, fear. And Carlos Santana says fear is not something that we as humans should have.
Not fear, caution, so that you don't get somebody else sick and ruin their day, or you don't get sick yourself. It's not fear.
Yeah. And so, we continue on in March, and I am so glad that he spent the time with us today, because he is a legendary figure, and he's probably one of the most prolific artists that I have ever interviewed. And my nervousness, or my I was a little bit hindered in asking him questions, because what do you ask somebody like Carlos Santana? Do you ask him about the hits and the music? And I want to my listeners to listen a little bit of his music today from the Blessings and Miracle album that came out in October of 2021. So let's play a little bit about that.
You got me losing my head. I never know what I said. You got me spinning around and around. I never know if I'm right, but I've been feeling tonight that we can make all the walls come down. And now I'm singing, ooh, cause I feel like I want you. We're coming to life.
So April 16th, Soaring Eagle Casino, and then on May the 7th, Earth, Wind, and Fire in Carlos Santana and Earth, Wind, and Fire are coming together afterwards in the summer to be on tour. And isn't that amazing that after 50 years, he's still touring? He and Barbra Streisand are the only ones that have had a top 10 hit in the last 6 decades.
I think I need to get a ticket to this.
Yes, you do. I'm going to be there, definitely, because he always puts on a great show. And I remember seeing him at Pine Knob, which is now Pine Knob again, in 1981 with I'm Winning, when he had that hit. And the music of Carlos Santana, it just takes you back to those visions of Woodstock. That's what everybody thinks of. And here he is. He's still with us today, 5 decades later. Well, 53 years, I think that is, since Woodstock. But we are so blessed to have him, somebody who is from Jalisco, Mexico, who came from nothing and, went on to Tijuana to live, as well as San Francisco. And he's still putting those hits out. He's still banging that guitar, and he's going to be at the Soaring Eagle Casino. And, we got a chance to see a legend within our midst. So thank you all so much for being with me here today on Mi Gente On Air. And I'm just thrilled that we got through this. Chandler and I were really nervous.
I don't know if you saw me during that. I was all smiles that whole time. That was so cool.
I did see you smiling, and I was trying to smile as well. And I was just like, really thrilled that, he said yes. When his people said that he was going to be on a live stream with me, I was just absolutely thrilled. I said a prayer this morning, and I listened to an interview that he had did just to kind of, calm my nerves and all. But I was just thrilled that he was with us here on Mi Gente On Air on WSGW 100.5, 790 AM. And it was good.
Larry,
it was really good.
Do you think we can get him again?
I don't know. We've got other people that we're going to conquer and get in. And like coming up, we have Sandro Cisneros, the author, and we've got people here in Saginaw who are just as interesting with their lives, but they haven't transcended those dimensional generations of years in music like Carlos Santana. So today it was a great honor. Thank you so much, everyone, for being with me. Until next time, I'm Larry Rodarte here on Mi Gente On Air.